Stuck inside. New tonight, Exumians still reeling almost a week after massive floods. Our news is on the ground in the aftermath. A botched robbery. Details about the shooting death of an armed teen by an off-duty police officer. Plus, an Our News exclusive. Polling shows Bahamians are over stories of doom and gloom. Find out the content they are most excited about. And then in Our News at 7:30, urgent need. One lawmaker detailing the grim financial position of the public-run water company. Our News live at 7 starts right now. For joining us, I'm Kendino Knowles. Another post-flood assessment on Exuma today by area MP Chester Cooper as some communities still reeling. Some residents also still stuck inside. Our Berthany McDermott traveled to the island today for more on the aftermath. We'll get to that in less than 5 minutes, but now to this. A 17-year-old boy is dead after he was shot by an off-duty officer during an attempted armed robbery at a popular East Bay Street eatery. We are learning the deadly incident unfolded around 10 o'clock last night. Police say that's when two suspects, one carrying a gun, entered the eatery on DeVoe and East Bay Streets and demanded cash. The off-duty officer, who was a patron of the restaurant, announced he was law enforcement, and police say that's when the teen suspect opened fire, prompting the officer to return fire. During the gunfire, the suspect was shot and died an hour later in hospital. Police say they are now aggressively searching for the second suspect. And a 31-year-old murder suspect was sentenced to 36 months for gun possession. Officers arrested Godfrey Minnis on March 21st last year on suspicion of the murder of Bertram Moss at Rupert Dean Lane. Following his arrest, Minnis allegedly led the officers to a Nissan Pathfinder parked across the street from his home at 49 Rupert Dean Lane. The officers found a 9mm pistol with 4 rounds of ammunition concealed in a styrofoam-covered plate underneath the car. Gun Court Magistrate Lennox Colby convicted Minnis of possession of an unlicensed firearm and ammunition following a trial. During his testimony, Minnis denied leading the officers to the gun, a claim the magistrate rejected as untrue. Minnis has been on remand at prison since March 28, 2022. On that date, he was sentenced to 6 months in prison for damaging an ankle bracelet. Turning now to tourism. As vendors operating in and around the new Nassau cruise port already reaping the benefits of the new multi-million-dollar upgrade to the facility. This some 3 weeks since the grand opening, and according to President of the Bahamas Taxi Cab Union, Wesley Ferguson, he says drivers are elated.
We are pleased that Nassau Cruise Ports negotiated for more than 2 years with the taxi union. In fact, they have exceeded our expectations because we never thought that it was possible for us to have an orderly taxi call-up system on the port, and they proved us wrong. Taxi drivers are elated with the amount of returns that they have on their businesses now. In the instant where a taxi driver would have gotten maybe 1 fare per day, now they are on the borderline of 2 and 3, sometimes 4 fares a day.
According to Frederick Wallace, tour chairman of the Bahamas Taxi Cab Union, operators are doing better than ever.
We alleviated all of the chaos, the confusion, and the disorder. Everything that was done decently and in order. Persons are coming here, they're getting their fare without shouting at the guests, without screaming and arguing over who was first out and who was second out and I before you and all that kind of stuff. Very seldom, if ever, we see things like that, and so we are doing pretty good. Now with all the signage up saying sightseeing tours and taxi to Atlantis and taxi to Cable Beach or whatever, and they see the line with the cones and everything, they just walk into the cone lines and they said, I want to do a tour.
And still talking tourism, summer tourist arrivals are trending up at one of the major hotel properties here in the capital. Over at Bahamas, Senior Vice President Robert Sands saying they're seeing big numbers, which he is still attributing to a post-COVID-19 travel surge.
Pent-up travel demands, the resurgence of group business, all of those things are contributing to the very high occupancies within the islands of the Bahamas, and also the partnership between the private sector promotion boards, the individual hotels, the Ministry of Tourism in their marketing efforts to ensure that the islands of the Bahamas remain top of mind in the traveling public.
And now to Exuma, where Area MP Chester Cooper conducting a post-flood assessment which revealed some roads there still flooded and residents stuck inside. Berthany McDermott is there and has the details.
I had like 2 feet of water in my house.
Jesus.
My furniture, as you can see, I still have them unblocked.
Right.
Yes, because I don't know if the rain finished or they're coming back.
Days after hours of torrential rain caused severe flooding for Exuma residents, some are still suffering from the flooding. Aljame Bodie is one of those residents, and she's not the only one. This resident says she was forced to leave her home for 4 days due to water coming into her home.
Like the fridge and things, them we can't just keep on going off and things, and they giving us problem, the fridge them.
We then came across this resident who says she can't leave her home without going through water. She explains that a number of her household items are now damaged.
Because I woke up about 4 o'clock that morning to go to the bathroom, and when I stepped down, there was water all over. So it was like a panic. Just trying to put some stuff in bags and get out. With the doors in the kitchen, the bathroom, as you can see, they're hanging. They dropped down. The fridge. You can see the water mark on the sofa. I still have it unblocked.
Deputy Prime Minister and Area Member of Parliament Chester Cooper provided residents with care packages. He says the plan is to bring relief to the residents as quickly as possible.
Whether there's an exigency order that declares an emergency here or not, I will be speaking with the Minister of Finance tonight, Prime Minister, letting him know exactly the end result of this disaster here. And ensure that the arms of government are mobilized to provide some assistance.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
All right, thanks so much for that, Berthany. Well, it's time now for your first look at temperatures. Forecaster Ian McKenzie. He's in the Weather Center. Ian?
Thanks, Gandino, and good evening, Bahamas. Here's your first look at weather for this evening. Outside our studios, we're under mostly fair skies with a temperature of 86. Our winds are out of the south, giving us those warm conditions at 8 miles per hour with a feels like temperature of 83. Current temperatures across the country right now in our nation's second city in Freeport, they're under 87 with rain and some thunderstorm activity. Marsh Harbor 86 with similar conditions. 88 in Allenstown, Bimini, 86 in Great Harbor, Key Berries, Nicholstown, Andros, and also in the capital, and 84 in Governor's Harbor. Current temperatures in the central Bahamas, Camps Bay 87, a pair of 85s in Georgetown, Exuma, and Deadman's Key, Long Island, 84 in Arthurstown, Kidd Island, and 83 in Coburn Town, San Salvador. In the southeast Bahamas, we have 85 in Duncantown, also in Delectable Bay, 84 in Colonel Hill, Crooked Island as well, 86 in Abrahams Bay, and a pair of 87s, rounding up our temperature profile in Matutan, Inagua, and Providenciales. Taking a first look at our satellite and radar imagery at this time, we have a few clouds, some isolated thunderstorms, mainly offshore to the north of Andros, moving in the vicinity of the capital. This is all courtesy of a digging trough, which will predominantly alter the weather across the extreme northwest Bahamas. Elsewhere, high pressure remains a dominant weather feature across the central and southeast Bahamas. Stay tuned, more weather is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, a full circle moment. Bahamar unveils a commemorative statue and plaque in honor of hobby horse hall racing. Ever heard of the International Road Federation? If not, find out how the global body helps steer local regulation. And an Our News poll finds viewer trends lean in favor of reporting on good news. Find out what else viewers are saying when Our News returns.
If new, Heineken Silver was a riveting Viking saga.
Last the 12th, your family tortured my first wife and stole my second favorite goat. Now you want to marry my daughter. Okay.
All the taste, no bitter endings. Smooth, fresh, silver.
A full circle moment for Bahamas, with the resort unveiling a commemorative statue and plaque in honor of hobby horse haul racing. The racetrack was once located on the grounds where the multi-billion-dollar resort now stands. Its history dates back to the 1700s. In the 1960s, its arena was rebuilt following a fire. Through the decades, the track became established as the place for a fashionable colonial elite to mingle and watch the horses. Upgrades such as an efficient starting gate and a photo finish camera elevated the racetrack to rival stadiums in Europe and America. We've got more on this coming up in our news this weekend. Be sure and stay tuned. Meanwhile, Bahamas Resort Foundation says giving back continues to be a central focus. Another focus has been striving to forge better relationships with the community. Manager for the foundation, Melvern Williamson, explains what's behind their drive to serve.
Community, culture, and conservation. And we believe that it is our corporate responsibility to give back whenever possible. We've worked with organizations such as Hands for Hunger, just giving surplus prepared food, prepared here on property at Bahamas, to hunger relief agencies. The Lend a Hand Bahamas with their fresh hydroponics pod that is geared to sustainability, and the Bahamas Red Cross, the Children's Home, just to name a few.
Also says the foundation focuses on meeting real needs in the community.
Just as I spoke about the Lend a Hand Bahamas and the hydroponics pod, that was put in place really to grow fresh vegetables and fruits, so the community has an option to grow and train on how they can do the same. With the community pillar as well, with the Hands for Hunger and even with the Children's Home, we want to make sure that no matter what it is, we're consistently giving back.
Now to our work in progress segment. Some of us drive every day without considering the efforts and collaborations it takes to construct and maintain the roads we drive on. The International Road Federation, though, it's an organization that at its core takes road safety very seriously. Joshua Williams explains how we are involved.
The International Road Federation is a global nonprofit federation that serves a network of public and private sector members in more than 70 countries. The organization provides resources, advocacy services, and education programs. CEO and president of IRF, C. Patrick Sankey, describes roads and highways as vital arteries like those in the human body.
Transportation, as we all know, plays a vital role in the growth of any nation. Our roads and highways are the lifelines that connect communities, facilitate trade, and provide access to essential services. They are the very arteries that sustain economic development and enhance the quality of life for all citizens.
With Caribbean countries possessing unique geography makeups, the IRF executive shares the importance of nations tapping into its resources.
The Caribbean is a self-sustaining region. It has everything it needs to not rely on anybody. The Caribbean region, as the ministers we all spoke this morning for a while, has its diverse landscapes and unique challenges. It truly does. It presents both opportunities and complexities in our endeavor to create a sustainable and efficient transportation network.
Reporting for Work in Progress for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as Greece Coast Guard on the defense over disaster response. Survivors from a shipwreck traumatized. Plus, 14 males detained from a work site in TCI awaiting immigration processing. And the Minister for Grand Bahama signs a sister city agreement as she leads a delegation to West Africa. What it means for us when our news returns.
Welcome to The Rewind, an Our News monthly podcast
where we discuss various different topics in the Bahamian society.
I'm your host, Jasmine Lundy.
I'm your co-host, Janae.
I don't like eggs enough.
I get the vibes.
Hey, let's put that on a shirt.
By our last name.
Yeah.
This is
The Rewind.
This is our news. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. The Coast Guard in Greece defending its actions in responding to a ship carrying hundreds of migrants that ended up sinking off the country's south coast, as criticism mounted today over the European Union's years-long failure to hammer out a comprehensive migration and asylum policy. 9 arrests have been made in connection to a deadly incident. Gabe Singer reports.
Sources say 9 Egyptian nationals have been arrested in connection to a deadly migrant shipwreck off the coast of Greece. The suspects were seen being escorted on Thursday from Coast Guard headquarters in the city of Kalamata, where Greek authorities said 104 survivors have been brought so far. The death toll now stands at 79, but that number is expected to rise as hundreds are still missing. Reports suggest up to 750 people were packed on the fishing boat when it capsized and sank Wednesday morning in deep waters some 50 miles from shore. Local media reported the ship departed from Egypt and stopped at the Libyan port of Tobruk before setting off for Italy. Psychologists treating survivors in Kalamata say that many are still in shock.
It was all so quick, and they still feel that they are inside. They don't feel that they are here, that their foots are here. They feel that they are still inside, that they are going to die. One person was crying and calling that I want to phone call my mother in order to inform her that if I'm going to die, at least I have spoken to her.
It's very difficult because almost no one speaks English. So the problem is how to communicate, even for the emotional reasons. Some of them are in a really terrible emotional situations. It's obvious. But they're still in shock. It's about 1-2 days they're going to be in shock. We're expecting them afterwards some PTSD expressions.
Images taken prior to the accident showed dozens of passengers looking up, some with arms outstretched. But officials said they repeatedly rejected assistance from Greece's Coast Guard, making a rescue operation impossible. The Coast Guard has said the search operation will continue for as long as needed.
And Pope Francis was discharged from Rome's Gemelli Hospital Friday, where the 86-year-old was recovering from abdominal surgery. The procedure sparked renewed concerns over his health. As seen on a CNN video, the pontiff left hospital in a wheelchair and spoke with well-wishers and medical staff who had gathered outside the entrance to say goodbye. The Vatican press office said he will deliver his weekly Angelus prayer this Sunday and is well enough to keep all of his appointments except for a general audience next Wednesday. The NBA announced Friday Memphis guard Ja Morant has been suspended for the first 25 games of the upcoming season for his second known incident of displaying what appeared to be a firearm on social media. The NBA says Morant will also have to adhere to certain conditions before being reinstated. It's the second time he's been suspended in the last 3 months for showing a firearm on social media following an 8-game suspension in March. And finally, from the region, where a multi-law enforcement agency effort in the Turks and Caicos led to the detention of 14 people. The Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force reporting Wednesday morning, Operation Pursuit went to a job site in the Long Bay Providenciales area when several employees ran off in various directions. Police say that's when the 14 males were detained and held on immigration purposes. Well, Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, leading a delegation on a Bahamas trade and investment mission to West Africa with key stops in Ghana and Nigeria. While in Ghana, Moxie signing a sister city agreement with the city of Princess Town, Pokusu, a city that sits on a critical trade route. Grand Bahama was pitched to continental Africa as the gateway to the Caribbean and the Americas and a prime location for investment. Moxie also participated in high-level discussions with African banks, exporters, chambers of commerce, creative industry partners, small and medium-sized enterprise, and various government agencies. Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was June 16th, including the 1965 birth of a decorated Bahamian athlete. And then in our news at 7:30, the U.S. Human Trafficking Report is out. The Bahamas keeps its Tier 1 country rating. And how scammers who targeted Cable Bahamas customers are being stopped in their tracks. The safeguards you need to know when our news returns. Welcome back to Our News. It's time now to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was June 16th. Take a look. On this day in Bahamian history in 1965, Laverne Eve was born in Nassau. Eve is a retired athlete who competed in the javelin throw for the Bahamas at numerous international events over her career, including the Olympic Games and World Championships. At the 2002 Commonwealth Games in Manchester, she won gold with a throw of 58.46 meters. Her best showing at the Olympic Games came in Athens, where she placed sixth with a throw of 62.77 meters. She set a Bahamian women's record at 63.73 meters in Nashville, Tennessee on April 22nd, 2000. In 2015, Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the NBA championship. Thompson is the son of Bahamian basketball player Michael Thompson, who won 2 NBA titles with the Los Angeles Lakers in 1987 and 1988. Then in 2016, then outspoken MP for Fort Charlotte, Dr. Andre Rollins, raked the Christie administration over the coals during his contribution to the 2016-2017 budget debate. Rollins asserted then Prime Minister Perry Christie had zero currency with the Bahamian people, whom he urged to fire the entire Christie cabinet in the next general election.
I believe that following the debacle, not only is the Minister of National Security to do the honorable thing and resign, but the PLP government, if in fact it is a government of integrity, ought to ask the parliamentary commissioner to do the honorable thing and to demit office without delay, with immediate effect, in the interests of the democracy of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
But he is wrong. He is wrong to assert, because the records of the government of the Bahamas, the records of the courts of the Bahamas would show there is no delay, no intention to frustrate, no intention to deceive, but an intention to get the best result for the Bahamas.
I really have to apologize to the country for making the mistake of putting the Member of Parliament in the position to be a Member of Parliament.
Clearly, the Right Honourable Member for Centerville wanted a lackey who would ignore the best interests of this country by remaining quiet when I saw this country being destroyed. I refuse to be that type of politician, Mr. Speaker.
June 14th, 2020, then National Security Minister Marvin Dames on the defense over the fluctuating number of people on a missing persons list after Hurricane Dorian ravaged Abaco in Grand Bahama 9 months before. Amid ongoing confusion, Dames insisted the public did not need to fixate on the numbers.
To think that you can come out of the disaster and that you are perfect, it's ridiculous. So can we look back and say we could have done some things better? 100%.
Also in 2020, then opposition leader Philip Davis and Deputy Leader Chester Cooper walked out of Parliament after House Speaker Halson Moultrie denied Cooper the opportunity to clarify a point he sought to make during the budget debate the week prior. Cooper said the Bahamas government had never taken a loan from the International Monetary Fund before, and that the Minnis administration's plan to borrow from the IMF would be a first, which then Golden Gates MP Michael Folk said was incorrect. Then in 2021 was a tense scene on Cabbage Beach as vendors were denied access to the beach. They eventually took matters into their own hands.
We refuse to let them move us from here. We are not moving. We gonna fight, and we gonna fight like we don't know how. And if Minister he want to war with the Bahamian people, he will get it, because we ain't moving.
And finally in 2022, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville announced changes to existing travel health visa requirements.
Effective June the 19th, 2022 at 12:01, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will also remove the testing requirements for all vaccinated persons entering the Bahamas. This decision is based on science and recommendations from both local and regional epidemiologists.
What do you want to see on nightly news, especially in an atmosphere where interest in watching the news has dropped around the world? With this, we polled viewers like you to find out. Arlena Leonard spoke with some, as well as people who don't watch the news, to find out. Take a look.
The verdict is in. People want more good news.
I don't watch the news is something you've probably heard or even said more often since the pandemic, with an average of 58% of the people we polled online on Facebook and Twitter saying they avoid depressing news. Still, about 89% of those polled said they're still interested in news. So what's keeping them from watching? Here's what the people we spoke to today had to say when we asked why they weren't interested.
I'm not. I was before to just keep abreast on certain stuff in our country, but after a while, it just became so depressing, especially since the pandemic. So I just took a break, and it became an extended break.
For those still interested in news, they say,
I think I make it a point to watch the news at least once in the afternoon, just to keep abreast of what's happening in the country. I think it's important to understand what's happening in your country, but I think obviously if you get too much of negativity, that can't bode well for us as a people. So I absolutely do try to avoid news that is too negative in nature.
Yeah, the news is important that you give, our news. You all give great informative news, so I watch all basically every day, so yeah. Plus.
I like to know what's going on. I can't say that I get in-depth with news. I like to listen to the headlines to get a brief idea of what's going on. And if there's anything interesting, I'll stick around and I'll watch some more.
Still, there was one common thread between them all. People want more good news.
I think that there are a lot of young people, obviously, in the Bahamas who are doing a lot more positive stuff. And I think that if the news stations can begin to focus on more positive content, because they also have a responsibility in transforming the nation.
I think the news should begin with highlighting, I guess, the good going on in the country. It always starts with the bad, and I guess that's what makes it the news. But if we, start a different take, highlight like Bahamian entrepreneurs, people doing well, and just, different sides of that's not normally caught, I think that would be really good, and I would tune into something like that.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Marlena, to watch that story again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. Going to do it for us in News at 7. Joining us now is Natalia Hall with the latest headlines. And Natalia, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, though, at the poll, especially because I hear it often that people are looking for better storytelling, stories that actually, share what people are doing and the great things that they're accomplishing,
Yeah. It was good, too, to hear that viewers say that they watch us every night.
Yeah.
We surely appreciate your support.
Very reassuring, yes.
Yeah.
So
that makes it all worth it every day.
Doing every night. Yeah,
all right.
For sure. And so thanks to them, eh?
Yeah. Thanks so much, Ken. Well, the post-flood assessment on Exuma a week after 23 inches of rain, residents are still stuck inside. Plus, scammers alert. Here are your latest headlines. A post-assessment new tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. Almost a week later, some residents on the island of Exuma are still stuck in their homes post-wild weather. Plus, immediate attention is needed at the Water and Sewerage Corporation. This, as the water chief says, expenses are increasing. And a scammer alert. If you receive a suspicious phone call or text message from Cable Bahamas, it's possibly a scammer. Executives urging customers to be on high alert. And later, what makes the perfect Father's Day meal? Well, this Grand Bahamian chef says she has the answer. Our News Live at 7:30 starts in a moment.
Embrace technology.
At Doctors Hospital, our lamp just got brighter. The Loyalty Advantage membership program now has 3 unique plans to choose from. From Lamp Prepaid with free prime care visits and service line discounts, Lamp Insured with copay waivers and 0 upfront collections at the ER and inpatient services, or our new Lamp Access, a free plan that offers 10% off labs, pharmacy, and imaging. Lamp has a plan for everyone. To sign up, visit our website or give us a call. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now.
Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. Another post-flood assessment on Exuma today by area MP Chester Cooper. As some communities are still reeling, some residents are still stuck inside. Our Brittany McDermott traveled to the island today for more in the aftermath. We'll get to that in less than 5 minutes, but now to this. A coroner's jury has classified the death of a 21-year-old man who was shot and killed by police as manslaughter. The 5-member coroner's jury returned the verdict of homicide by manslaughter in the March 25, 2019 shooting of Shanton Forbes. Police control room reportedly received a call about a man who was armed with a handgun. As a result, Constables 3731 Green Slade and 3725 Young went to number 14 Graham Drive in Yellow Elder Gardens, where Forbes' family was having a party, to investigate the complaint. Police officers alleged that Forbes pointed a gun at them and they shot him. Forbes was shot 16 times and died in hospital. Now, 2 civilian witnesses testified that Forbes was unarmed. They testified the officers fired a shot upon arrival, causing everyone to disperse, including Forbes. Acting DPP Cordell Frazier will determine if the officers will be prosecuted after reviewing the evidence. Well, 2 Abaco men are behind bars tonight after they were reportedly caught with marijuana. The arrest came during Operation Takedown, which occurred between 6 p.m. on Thursday and 2 this morning. The first arrest came after Abaco officers executed a search warrant on a home on Morning Glory Circle. That's where they discovered over 10 pounds of marijuana that has an estimated street value of $10,450. A 44-year-old man was arrested. The second arrest came and police searched a Cooperstown Abaco home where they found another stash of marijuana. In that case, a 35-year-old Abaco man was arrested. Police say he was also found in breach of his liquor license. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works and Utilities back his role detailing the grim financial position of the Water and Sewerage Corporation, role telling Parliament that operating expenses increased in 2022 to more than $100 million, but it didn't get that much in return.
In reviewing the corporation's management accounts for 2022, the corporation's revenues were approximately $50.4 million compared to $48.7 million in 2021. However, the corporation's total operating expenses, including depreciation, was $106 million in 2022 as compared to $88.8 million in 2021.
Now, the grim forecast comes as WSC will see a decrease in its budget this fiscal year. He says the uptick in spending was associated with an increase in staffing costs and an increase in water purchase costs.
This trend is clearly unsustainable and requires urgent strategic correction. To achieve this, the corporation has engaged an international strategic advisory firm to guide its development of the corporate business plan with the support of the Inter-American Development Bank.
All right, well, Exuma MP Chester Cooper conducting a post-flood assessment, which reveals some roads are still flooded and some residents are still stuck in their homes. Our Brittany McDermott has the story.
I had like 2 feet of water in my house. Jesus. My furniture, as you can see, I still have them unblocked. Right. Yes, because I don't know if the rain finished or if it's coming back.
Days after hours of torrential rain caused severe flooding for Exuma residents, some are still suffering from the flooding. Aljamae Bodie is one of those residents, and she's not the only one. This resident says she was forced to leave her home for 4 days due to water coming into her home.
Like the fridge and things, somewhere can't just keep on going off and things, and they giving us problem, the fridge them.
We then came across this resident who says she can't leave her home without going through water. She explains that a number of her household items are now damaged.
Because I woke up about 4 o'clock that morning to go to the bathroom, and when I stepped down, there was water all over. So it was like a panic. Just trying to put some stuff in bags and get out. With the doors in the kitchen, the bathroom, as you can see, they're hanging. They dropped down. The fridge. You can see the watermark on the sofa. I still have it on block.
Deputy Prime Minister and area member of Parliament Chester Cooper provided residents with care packages. He says the plan is to bring relief to the residents as quickly as possible.
Whether there's an exigency order that declares an emergency here or not. I will be speaking with the Minister of Finance tonight, Prime Minister, letting him know exactly the end result of this disaster here, and ensure that the arms of government are mobilized to provide some assistance.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
All right, thanks for that, Berthany. Well, light showers outside our news studios this evening, but what type of weather conditions can we expect for the weekend? Forecaster Ian McKenzie is in the Weather Center with a first check on weather. Ian?
Thanks, Natalia, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this TGIF Friday forecast. Currently outside our studios, we're under mostly fair skies with a temperature of 86. Our winds are out of the south at 8 miles per hour with a feels-like temperature of 80. Take a look at our satellite radar loop at this time. We have some showers, isolated thunderstorm activity, mainly just to the north of Andros, moving towards the capital. We also have the bulk of the showers, thunderstorm activity concentrated across the extreme northwest Bahamas. And this is courtesy of a digging trough. Stay tuned, more weather in our extended forecast.
Still to come on our news, beware of suspicious calls and text messages from Cable Bahamas. Scammers are targeting customers and enforcing the law. The Department of Environmental Health beefs up their patrols. The environmental minister speaks. Crab and rice, fish, chicken, or potato salad. What's on your Father's Day menu this year? Tonight, a chef takes us inside her kitchen and shares some of the secret ingredients for the perfect Father's Day dish. That's all coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to The Rewind, an Our News monthly podcast
where we discuss various different topics in the Bahamian society.
I'm your host, Jasmine Lundy.
I'm your co-host, Janae.
I don't like eggs enough.
I get the vibes.
Hey, let's put that on a shirt.
By our last name.
Yeah. This is The Rewind.
The new U.S. Trafficking in Persons report has been released, and its findings reveal the Bahamian government fully meets the minimum standards for the elimination of human trafficking. Since 2015, the Bahamas has maintained a Tier 1 status. Tier 1 is the highest ranking. The report also noting NGOs reported that although the country adopted appropriate laws and procedures, lower-level police, immigration officials, and labor inspectors did not implement them because of a failure to understand or neglect them. Well, imagine your phone rings and the person on the other end, claiming to be a representative of the Cable Bahamas group of companies, asks for your credit card information. What do? Well, we sat down with the Director of Information Security, Shakira Roll, to set the record straight on what a representative will do and won't ask you for.
Cable Bahamas or Alive or any of the companies within our organization would never call you to ask for your credit card information or your debit card information. That is a never. So what we would call you if it's related to our customer satisfactory surveys, you may receive a call to that effect, but never would you be asked for sensitive information related to your account or your personal banking information.
And Roll says it's not just through phone calls, and she's also urging customers to be aware of suspicious text that provides links and phone numbers, urging people to only go through official websites and numbers found on official pages. If you feel you've been a victim of this scam or you think you experienced a suspicious call, Roll says,
if you were, again, to be a victim or you were targeted and you received a text message or the call, alert us. Let us know so that we can do the proper investigations. If there's any loopholes that we can close, we would do so immediately. So please be sure to call us at our contact center, which is 602-2200, and we will be sure to get back to you with any information that's related to your particular report.
In his budget communication, Prime Minister Philip Davis announced that funds have been allocated for a new women's shelter. He shared that the shelter built for women will strengthen support for domestic abuse victims. Now, former Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson Casey says she is on board with the idea as she herself is involved with a local safe house.
I think it's an excellent idea. It is. Now we've had safe houses. I don't know the details of what it would look like. But I do want to say that we have safe houses. Another organization to which I belong, the Links Incorporated, has built a Links safe house that is now run. We passed it over to the government, now run by the government.
Maynard Gibson says facilities like these are important considering the rise in violence against women.
And it's really important for all of us to become attuned to, you saw the rape statistics, you saw the domestic or intimate partner violence is increasing. We have to be alert to the necessity of providing safe houses or safe spaces when these things happen, as we work on counseling and other important means of decreasing domestic violence.
When our news comes back from the break, Cuba culture. Hear how a Bahamian music artist is connecting the Bahamas with Cuba on his new album.
We bring you the latest from the National Swim Championships, and I sit down for a chat with college baseball's newest All-American. You don't want to miss this one. Our sports is coming right up.
And what are you cooking for your dad on Father's Day? We may have some ideas for you as a chef tells us some of the secret ingredients in a perfect meal. When our news returns, stay with us.
If new, Heineken Silver was a riveting Viking saga.
Last the 12th, your family tortured my first wife and stole my second favorite goat. Now you want to marry my daughter. Okay.
All the taste, no bitter endings. Smooth, fresh, silver.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family
This is our news. Welcome back. A well-known artist is now back in the forefront. Bahamian music artist Kirkland KB Bodie telling me what he's been up to behind the scenes. He also talks he recently released a new album that promotes Bahamian culture. Let's take a look.
I'm a boatman, a seaman. My work is on the water, free diving, throwing out line is how I survive. I've been doing a lot of music. It's just that, times have changed now. All the radio ain't like what the radio used to be. Everything's on social media, and it's not more trying to get your material out there.
That's legendary Bahamian music artist Kirkland Bodie, widely known as KB. Bodie says he's been doing a lot of writing and recently released his newest album titled Cuba.
I spent a lot of time in Cuba. I'm a resident in Cuba, actually. So what I found out being over there, I saw the similarities between us. I saw our African heritage, and there's a territory in the Democratic Republic of Congo that's called Cuba.
The musician says he believes we can learn a lot from Cuba and adds that it's important for Bahamians to be proud of their culture.
You see other territories like Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, and all these other places, they're proud of who they are, Trinidad, and I want the same thing for us. I try to bring the best I can. I mean, there's a lot more that can be done, but I try my best to stimulate our own, to make our own feel proud.
As it relates to Bahamian music, KB says there needs to be more investment.
We need nothing else but those, but the promotion, the finance that can go behind, that can take our music to the world. Because it's been proven that we make hit records. Through all the artists that have made hit records through the years, we've proven that it could happen. It's just now it needs to be exposed in the proper way.
KB's new album has been supported on all of the major music platforms online, and one of his hit songs is Sailboat, which we got a sample of.
Oh, sailboat, 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 sail. Sail it in the harbor, I'll sail them in the keys, I'll sail them in the ocean, I'll sail them all day long, I'll sail them down to Bob Key, I'll sail them all day long. Hey, that's me.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
We have the latest from the National Swim Tournament, and we talked to college baseball all-star Dalen Adderley. Here's Tage Adderley with a check on sports. Tage?
Thanks, Italia. Good evening, happy Friday. I'm Tage Adley with some sports to get your weekend started. Day one of the National Swim Championships ended with Mako Aquatic Swim Club in the lead. Our Sasha Lightburn was at the pool and she filed this report.
Day one came to an end with Mako Aquatic Swim Club holding 631 points, Barracuda Swim Club with 392 points, and Alpha Aquatics with 324 points to round out the top three. But that was after some hardware was given out. We caught up with several gold medal winners from day one.
It feels amazing. I've finally hit the time that I want to do since 2019, and so that's why I was so excited after the race, and I'm just happy to have a good start to a good meet.
This meet in particular is just me trying to really work in racing into my training to see what things I need to work on before I travel for CICM Worlds.
It felt really good to swim coming back from Carifta and be able to improve my time.
Feels amazing to execute my race how I wanted to swim to the best of my abilities and represent my Lightning Aquatics family and all that supported me.
Prime Minister Philip Davis also stopped by the pool right in time to present his grandson, Cole Albury, the silver medal for the boys 8 and under 50-meter backstroke. But with the stands almost filled to capacity, we asked the PM whether the Betty Kelly Kenning Aquatic Center will be adequate for when the country hosts Carifta Swimming next year.
It is our plans to renovate the Betty Kenning facility here. And when that is done, for sure, it will be adequate to host the Carifta Swim Championships. We've done it before on more than one occasion, and we'll do it again.
Now, night 2 should be underway at this hour, and day 3 will begin tomorrow at 9 a.m. Reporting for our sports, I'm Sasha Lightborn.
Dalen Adderley was named to the College Baseball All-American list on Wednesday. I had a chance to talk to him about his historic season. Dalen Adderley was named to the All-American third team by the Baseball Writers Association of America. He spent the 2023 season with Texas Southern University. Before that, he played for Division II Tusculum University in Tennessee, but a pandemic changed his plans.
I was going to have a good year there, but then, COVID shut it down. So I went back to that same school, played like half the year and did really well.
Dalen was statistically one of the best hitters in the nation, which may have come to a surprise to many, but not him.
I knew straight off the rip I was going to play the entire season. I always told myself and prayed to God that if I played the entire season, I would get like a lot of accolades and I would do really well. But
that's all for sports for today. I'm Tage Adderley. Have an amazing weekend.
Still ahead on our news tonight, Father's Day is often filled with love and gifts, but sometimes a simple meal can put a smile on the faces of dads. Tonight, we have a few meal ideas for you. And the rain is finally gone and the sun is out. Forecaster Ian McKenzie is back in studio with your extended weather forecast. Welcome back to our news. The Cancer Society of the Bahamas focusing on brain cancer awareness for the month of June. As a part of their push is raising awareness at one of those events, consultant, neurosurgeon, and spine surgeon Dr. Nicholas Burrows broke down the types of brain cancers, causes, symptoms, and treatments. Dr. Burrows also provided statistics about the most common type of brain cancer, gliomas.
2018 to 2021. There were about 23 cases of primary brain cancers diagnosed, 10 being male, 14 being female. 16 were gliomas, or 69% of them. 10 cases were glioblastomas, and of those 10 cases, 4 were males, 6 were females. It somewhat compares to world figures. The only difference is that based on the figures we have here, it was more common in females. You can see the opposite in literature.
Dr. Burrows says there's no real direct cause that's been identified at this time, but there are factors that increase your risk. He shares these signs and symptoms you should pay attention to.
It's probably thought that brain cancer would, persons would show up to the emergency department in a coma, or significant alteration in conscious level. That's actually the less common way of presenting. The most common way is just present progressive neurological deficits, about 70% of individuals. Headaches, necks, and seizures, 50 and 30% respectively.
All right, light showers in the capital this evening to start the weekend off. Ian is back in the Weather Center with your extended weather forecast. Ian?
Thanks, Natalia. Welcome back, everyone, to our extended forecast. Currently on our satellite loop right now, we have some cloudiness associated with a series of tropical waves, mainly one to the west of the Eastern Caribbean islands, one across Venezuela, Colombia, and the other approaching the Central Americas. Across our area at this time, we have some cloudiness courtesy of a digging trough, also associated with a persistent stationary front that dumped about 16 inches across the Florida Panhandle last night. No threat to us, so that spells good news. But across the central and southeast Bahamas, expect conditions to be relatively stable, courtesy of that high pressure system. In our boating forecast across the northwest Bahamas, winds will be southwest to west at 10 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. Your seas will be running 1 to 3 feet over the ocean, and you can expect a high tide at 7:41 p.m. this evening. In the central and southeastern islands, winds will be east to southeast 10 to 15 knots, falling light and variable at times. In the central islands, the seas will be running 1 to 3 feet near shore, but up to 2 to 4 feet offshore. Here's a look at your national forecast. And in your extended forecast, we expect rain chances to pop up again tomorrow, courtesy of a trough across our area. Mix of sun and clouds on for Father's Day, Monday to pretty much the middle to end of next week. We expect rain chances to elevate as the high pressure that was once a dominant weather feature slides to the east while troughing takes over. Cooler temperatures. We expect the temperatures to dip slightly below 90 for the highs, with the lows getting up to the mid to upper 70s. That's a wrap on your forecast for this evening. I'm Ian McKenzie. Have a great Father's Weekend, everyone.
All right, thanks so much, Ian. Well, in less than 2 days, fathers and father figures across the country will be celebrated. While some may have decided to have a Father's Day dinner at a restaurant, for others, they may choose to cook the traditional Father's Day meal at home. Well, I spoke with a well-known chef in Grand Bahama, and she's sharing what makes the perfect meals for dads. Let's take a look.
This year, we're going to do a little crab and rice, but we're going to put a little twist on it. We're going to do like some fried snappers. We're going to do some jerk chicken. We're going to do, there's a special Father's Day punch, which goes in with some Sprite soda. And we're going to also try to do some dessert, which is like cheesecake, rum cake, benny cake.
Those are some of the foods owner of Pam's Kitchen, Pamela Lang, says makes the perfect Father's Day meal. Lang and her husband, Ozzie Lang, was up from as early as 5 a.m. prepping Father's Day lunches.
Preparing for Father's Day for us, it's always good, even though our parents are deceased. But it's a joy on Father's Day, getting up preparing in the morning. You have to do potato salad, you know the work, coleslaw, the macaroni.
Well, it appears as if crab and rice has become a part of the signature Father's Day meal in the Bahamas. Lang says you must clean and prepare the crab properly.
You take a toothbrush and you just scrub the part of the crab, like the face part of the crab, it look like the eye part. You take that's the belly, you take the toothbrush and you scrub that till it's white. And what you do, you pull out the belly part and there's some fat inside there. So that's the fat would give that rice that juicy flavor.
Now, some dads have expressed that they are tired of the traditional crab and rice. Well, Lang says there's another option.
There's also a meat called the meat rice. We put a lot of salt beef, conch, pigtail, oxtail, and all of that into this rice.
And she shares the secret ingredient that keeps her going in the kitchen each year.
I love to cook. And I love to entertain. I love to socialize. I love to see the smiles on a person's face.
And for those men who won't get a meal on Father's Day, she had this message.
I pray that us as wives and mothers, that we get it together and that we honor our fathers. We honor and respect them. Them being the head of the home, God put them first. So we have to love them, and guess what? We have to celebrate them.
All right, it all sounds and looks good. Thanks so much, Ms. Pam, for that interview. And a happy early Father's Day to all of the dads. With that, we thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.